Hello, and welcome back to National Busways West Scotland, where it is now 2026. Happy New Year, everyone, but unfortunately, I do not bear the best news. So, this episode is 12 hours late, because I was trying to film the normal episode, and it just kept crashing. So, I have decided that this series is not going to go away, but I'm putting it on hold. But I don't know how long this could be on hold for. It might come back next week. It might be 2 weeks. It could be 6 months. I don't know. But I figured, just in case we're away for quite a while, and it's the new year anyway, I might do this with South Coast. Let's go through what we've achieved in the last almost year and a half. Almost 2 years now, actually, of buses in West Scotland. Starting where we originally started, here in Glasgow. And this bus here, VW25 T158 LGE, has been here since the very start, almost. It is a Volvo B10 BLE Right Renown, new for the Route 30 and 30A and 30C, that we call the Beltway. They don't run from this garage anymore, but the original Beltway fleet are doing their own things. We have a very large fleet here. It's mostly single-deckers, the single-decker fleet is mostly Renowns. The double-decker fleet is a mix of these gigantic triaxle Volvo B10TL Super Olympian Alexander ALX 400s, as well as some DAF DB250 LF ALX 500, ALX 400s, and some. Are they all out? Nope, there's 3 still here. 3 Trident ALX 400s. These do the 27 down to Newton Mans. I'm not going to go through every garage in that level of detail, but we have, because we have 24 of them. So, I'll go through some of the notable ones. What I'm here to really look at is garages and fleet in broad terms, i.e. how many buses do we have, and I'm going to look more granularly at the network, because we truly have come a very long way in the last 2 years. So let's start where we did. This is real time. You know, this is not just, ooh, I'm putting it on hold. I'm putting it on hold because it is desperately slow. So, yes, starting where we did. Or starting where the series did. I don't know how to phrase that. Starting where the series did. I like that. With the 141. We put this route in as the S1. It's a little local service from Springburn out to Barmulloch via Springburn Hospital. Or Stobhill Hospital, even. And this route, or one of the other ones in the same area, uses the original fleet of buses we got for this series, which is some Marshall minibuses. You can see some there. Well, you can see one there. There's one there. There's another one there. Another one there. Yeah, there, and there for Marshall minibuses, which is very nice. I'm just waiting for the game to autosave. So, next we have the 142. Which runs a very compact route from Springburn to Barnhill. They're really not that far apart, but it goes the long way around. And I believe this is the route that still uses our Marshalls. Because it's not really that busy. So we've also got the 143 from Springburn down to Royston. After that, we put in the... where is it? The 801 from Glasgow Central to Buchanan Bus Station, a city centre shuttle that we brand along with the other routes in the 800 series as the Orange Arrows, which is a very blatant spin off of the Red Arrow services in London. The Orange Arrows network also includes the 802 from Kelvin Bridge down to Bridgeton Cross, the 803 from Exhibition Centre up to Royston, the 804 from Glasgow University to Oatlands, and it was going to include an 805 and I never got round to it. Next, we put in the Beltway, the 30A and 30C, a big loop around the inner suburbs. And that is now run out of Polmady Shed 2, with some ALX 400s with a brand, with rebranding. The other Route 30 on the map is a radial service out to Motherwell, which is very long and uses some some B70L Geminis, which extends overnight to Newmains, just beyond Wishaw, as the N30. There is also a limited stop service which is branded up as part of the Quicksilver network that runs from Glasgow out along the motorway out along the motorway to Motherwell and across to Wishaw. But let's start going through the Glasgow network in a little bit more of a ordered fashion. So let's start with the 1, which is a mainline service running from Glasgow out to Paisley, which extends overnight as the N1 to Milliken Park. Then there's the 2 from Glasgow to East Kilbride Town Centre, via sort of this way, which extends overnight to Myers Hospital, linking up local areas within East Kilbride to Glasgow overnight, so that the local network in East Kilbride doesn't have to run 24/7. Then there's the 3 from Glasgow to Hamilton via Cambuslang and Blantyre, which does not have an overnight service, but I'd imagine might go to Larkhall if we were putting in an N3. Speaking of Larkhall, we have the Quicksilver Route X3, which runs from Glasgow out along the motorway to Hamilton, and then continues limited stop into Larkhall. Then there is the 4, which runs from Glasgow city centre up through Springburn and into Kirkintilloch, where it terminates at Lenzie Station. And there is a Quicksilver version that runs fast to Kirkintilloch town centre, and that is of course the X4. Then there's the 5, which runs from Glasgow Townhead Estate up along to Faifley via Clydebank, and the N5 runs to Dumbarton overnight. Then there is the 6 from Glasgow Townhead Estate again to Duntocka via Bearsden, and the 7 from Glasgow to Newton Mearns, where it terminates at at Patterton Station. There we go, I remembered. Then there is our first crosstown route, the 8, from Cadder up here through the city centre and down into Silverburn. Back onto a radial route now, we have the 9 from Glasgow. Where is that? What does that do? Oh, Glasgow, Osborne Street. Through the city centre and up to Morgaive. and the N9 serves Mains Estate. Then there is the 10, which was the first crosstown that we put in, from Govan, Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, I want to say? Yes, so it runs from Govan, Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, through the city centre, and out to Glasgow Fort Shopping Centre. Then we have the 11, from Renfrew, through Glasgow City Centre and out to Swinton. And the 13, from Glasgow City Centre out to Hamilton. Back over to the crosstowns, we have the 15, which runs from Baillieston all the way through the city centre out to Clydebank, and the N15, which runs from Glasgow city centre out east all the way to Caldercrux via Coatbridge and Airdrie. Back onto the crosstowns though, we have the 16, which runs from the Castlemilk estate down here all the way up to Milton in the north of Glasgow. Let's go, and another crosstown, but it's much shorter one side than the other. We have the 17 from Anniesland all the way down to Newton Mearns. And the 18 is not a crosstown. That runs from Barhead all the way up into Glasgow via Silverburn. I don't know if it goes into the shopping centre. I don't think it does. And the N18 extends that from Barhead through to Neilston overnight. Next is another crosstown service, the 19, from Somerston through to Newton. And now we get on to another mainline service which has an accompanying Quicksilver route, the 20, from Glasgow up to Cumbernauld, via Steps, Muirhead, Moodiesburn, Mollinsburn. And it just terminates in the town centre, where we have an extensive network of local services, which we'll get to after the Glasgow services. We have the X20, which runs from Cumbernauld and gets onto the motorway pretty sharpish and terminates at Glasgow. And we have the 21, which runs from Glasgow to East Kilbride, but taking a slightly different routing, and the N21 heads through East Kilbride to Whitehills. The X21 is a non-Quicksilver service. That's not part of the Glasgow network. Oops, teasers. Next is the 22, from Glasgow through to Hare Myers Hospital, taking a relatively circuitous route. And after that is the 27, which uses those tridents at Polmedy, running from Newton Mearns up into Glasgow, where it terminates at Kelvingrove. Then we have the 29, which is a bit of a crosstown, from Partick to Cardowan, and it goes through the northern side of Glasgow city centre. Then we have the 30, which we've already covered, and then the Beltway, which we've already covered, the N30 and the X30. So the 31 runs from the Forge, which is a shopping centre, all the way out to Braehead, which is another shopping centre, using the south bank of the Clyde. Then there's the 33, from Govan, using the south bank of the Clyde all the way up to Swinton. And the 36 from the Forge shopping centre down to Castlemilk. The 38 follows the 36 but goes this way instead to link the Forge up with Silverburn. Then we have the 40, which is a orbital service in the north of Glasgow from Broomhill Cross to Bishopbriggs. And the 50, which is a very direct service along the Great West Road from Glasgow out to Old Kilpatrick. The 51 runs along the Great West Road to Drumchapel, and the 52 runs along the Great West Road to Clydebank. The 53 runs along the Great West Road and serves Anniesland via a very circuitous routing at the very end. And then we get into the 77, which is a rather long service from Glasgow to Kilmarnock. Leaving Glasgow, it gets on the motorway to serve Silverburn, gets back on the motorway to go straight to Newton Mearns, and then runs regional to Kilmarnock. Then there is the 80 from Glasgow Airport to Neilston via Barhead and Paisley, and the 81 from Glasgow Airport to Barhead, as well as the 88 from Glasgow Airport to Kilmarnock via Barhead, Neilston, Dunlop, Stewarton and Kilmaurs. Then there's the 100, an express service between Glasgow Airport and Glasgow City Centre, which comes out of Paisley to serve the airport, and then runs non-stop along the motorway into Glasgow. While the 101 takes a more conventional limited stop approach to run along the route of the normal one, and then up into Glasgow Airport once it's through Paisley Town Centre. Now we get into a network of routes called the Orbits, which are rather clearly inspired by the Superloop network in London. We start with the 102 from Clydebank to Mulgaive. Go on to the 103 from Faifley to Milton. The 104 from Milton to Easterhouse. The 105 from Glasgow Fort to Castlemilk. The 106 from Castlemilk to Barhead. The 107 from Barhead to Renfrew. And the 108 from Newton Mearns up to Bearsden via the tunnel, which is very long. And it gets even longer at night. We have the N108, which extends up to Mulgaive. Now we have the 111, which runs from Renfrew through Paisley and Johnston, all the way through Beath and Dalry into Kilwinning. And the 115, which runs from Glasgow City Centre all the way out along the route of the N15, terminating at Airdrie. Then there's the 133, which runs from Govan to Newton. So there's where it terminates at Newton, and there's where it terminates at Govan, which is Queen Elizabeth University Hospital, I believe. There's the local network in Springburn, we've already looked at that. And the 145, which runs from Springburn to Kirkintilloch. Now we have a little local network in Clydebank. We have the 150 from Linvale to Mount Blow via Clydebank. The 151 from Clydebank to Drumchapel. The 152 from Drumchapel to Bearsden. The 153 from Kilpatrick to Scotstoun Hill. And the 155 from Parkhall to Annisland Cross. Then we have another local network around Silverburn, starting with the 180 from Thornleybank to Pollock. The 181 from Pollock to Priest Hill. The 182 from Priest Hill to Levendale Hospital. The 183 from Pollock to Darnley Mains. The 184 from Pollock to Darnley. The 185 from Crookston Home to Parkhouse. And the 186 from Pennelly into Silverburn. Then we have another main orbital service in the 190 from Paisley through to East Kilbride, which extends overnight via the expressway to Hamilton. Before moving on to the 191, which is a local service in Paisley, and, well, the wider Paisley local network. This one runs from the Brayhead Shopping Centre in Renfrew through Renfrew and Paisley Town Centres out to Phoenix Retail Park. Then the 192 runs from Short Route to Glenfield via Paisley Town Centre. the 193 from Phoenix Retail Park to Gallow Hill via Paisley Town Centre, the 194 from Royal Alexandra Hospital to Cardonald, the 195 from Brakehead to Foxbar, the 196 from Renfrew, I can't remember where that is in Renfrew, via the hospital? No, via the stuff on this side of the river thing to Foxbar. There we go. And moving on to East Kilbride, we have the 200, the 201, 202, 203, 204, 205, 206, 207, 208, and 210, forming the local network in East Kilbride. The 210 being a mainline connection over to Hamilton via the expressway. Let me just get everything back. There we are. And we have the 211, which runs down to Strathaven via Chapelton. And the 212, which runs across to Newton Mines via Eaglesham and Waterford. And the 229, that runs from Clarkston over to Carmyle. Heading across here, we have a local network around Motherwell and Wishaw, with the 230 from North Motherwell to Newmains, the 231 from Forgewood to Wishaw Station, the 232 from Airballs to the Shirrell Estate, the 233 from Dimsdale to Canvas Nethen, the 234 from Pather to Airballs, and the 235 from Wishaw Hospital to Larkhall via Overtown and Garrion Bridge. Now we head over to Hamilton. We have the 250 from Hamilton to Strathaven via Larkhall, the 251 which runs from Larkhall to Blantyre via Hamilton, the 252 that runs from Uddingston to Larkhall via Hamilton, the 253 from Hamilton to Strathaven via Quarter and Glassford, the 25 and then we get into Hamilton's local network, the 254, 255, 256, 257, 258, 259, 261, and 262. And that, I believe, concludes the Glasgow network. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. We have the 310 from Motherwell to East Kilbride via Hamilton and the Expressway. The 315 from Eddlewood to Glasgow Fort via, where is that? Hamilton, Motherwell, Bellshill and Coatbridge. The 322 from Mulgive to Mulgive Mains Estate to Lenzie via Kirkintilloch Town Centre. And then we have we have the A series. So we have the Airdrie local network, the A1 from Chapel Hall to Townhead, the A2 from Calderbank to Glen Mavis, the A3 from Cornborough to Thrashbush, and the A5 from Airdrie Hospital to Caldercrooks. Now, are there any local services I've forgotten about? We have the 11A in Kilwinning, which is down here somewhere. There it is. This is a little local addition that most 11s will do. Or not most 11s, that most 111s will do. Then we have the 32A, which is a local service in Mulgive, between the Water Tower and Mains Estate. And then the 51A, which is a anti-clockwise loop that complements the 51 as the 51 goes through Drumchapel. Now, I think that's all of the Glasgow network done. So, is it? Yes, it is. Good. So I can start with the Cumbernauld town system, which includes the 22, which are loops via Carrickston and Balloch, the 23s, which are loops via Kildrum and Seafar, the 24 loops via Greenfolds and Carbrain, The 25 loops via Aberdeen Hill and Conderat. The 26 loops via Smithston and Blackwood. The 27 to Broadston and Westfield. And the 28 to Craiglin and Dalata. Then let's head over to the Isle of Cumbrae, where we have a network of very lovely small buses in the form of Optes Solo slim lines, with the 96 forming a loop around the coast road of Cumbrae, and the 99 cutting a direct line from Millport to Cumbrae Ferry. Then we get into the regional services. We have the 271 from Kilmarnock to Darville, which runs out just along this main road from Kilmarnock to Darville. The 272, which runs from Irvine Station up to Ardrossan. The 278 that runs from Irvine Hospital to Kilmarnock. The 281 that runs from Stevenston to Ardrossan. The 282 from Ardrossan to Saltcoats. The 283 from Ardrossan to Stevenston. And the 284 from Ardrossan to Saltcoats a different way. Then we have the 287 from Kilmarnock to Irvine, going cross-country via Cunningham Head and Kilmars. The 288 from Kilmarnock up to Stewarton. And the 289 from Stewarton down to Irvine. Then we have the 320. We're getting now into Midland Bluebird, who also operate the local services in Cumbernauld. The 320 runs from Cumbernauld Station to Kirkintilloch Lenzie Station. The 321 runs from Cumbernauld to Airdrie, which is where the X21 comes in, which runs a slightly different route and limited stop, and extends down to Motherwell. Back on topic, with the local services of Midland Bluebird, we have the 323 from Kirkintilloch to Lenzie Station, the 324 from Lenzie to Bonnybridge via Falkirk, Lenzie to Bonnybridge, which when the series comes back will be extended to Falkirk. Then we have the 325 from Cumbernauld Station to Mulgaive, which is a very recent one actually, via Kilsyth, Milton of Campsie, Lennoxtown, Clachan of Campsie and Strathblane. The 326 from Cumbernauld Station up to Twecker. The 327 from the far side of Cumbernauld down into Glasgow Fort, and now going across to the western side, looking at the 401 from Paisley to Greenock, and then the 402 from Paisley to Port Glasgow, the 403 from Johnston Station to Beath, and the 411 from Govan to Port Glasgow. There's Port Glasgow, and there's Govan. Then into the local network around Greenock and Gourock and Port Glasgow, we have the 412 from Port Glasgow to Gourock, the 413 from Winhill to Gourock, the 414 from Overton to Gourock, the 415 from Port Glasgow to Gourock. Yeah, they are different, good. The 417 from Greenock to Larkfield, the 418 from Greenock to Pennyfern, the 419 from Gourock to Branchton, the 422 from Greenock to Clydeview Academy, and that's the end of that. Then we have the 431, Pennyburn and Woodwind. Where is that? It's in Kilwinning. But we're back up here now because we have the 451 from Paisley to Kilmacolm via Linwood, Crossley and Bridge of Weir. The 452, which makes no sense at all, from Bridge of Weir to Erskine, I believe that's how it goes. And then heading down into Irvine, We have the 460 from Irvine Hospital to Dreghorn, 461 and 462 doing loops around Broomlands and Bawtry Hill, the 463 from Irvine to Dreghorn, the 464 from Warwicks to Montgomery Park, the 465 from Irvine to Lawthorne, the 466 to Persiton Wood, the 467 to Ravens Park, the 468 to Castle Park, and then heading over to Kilmarnock, where we have their local network, which has the 471 from Crosshouse Hospital to New Farm Lock, the 472 from Crosshouse Hospital to Belfield, the 473 from Crosshouse Hospital to New Farm Lock via Knock-in-Tiber, and the 476 from Helford to Onthank, the 477 from Onthank to Shortleys, and the 478 from Onthank to Belfield. Moving over to the Erskine Metro. This is a branded network of local services. You can see our solos with their orange roofs. The 481 runs from Renfrew out to Erskine, out to North Bar and Bargarran Estates. The 482 from North Bar to Freeland, the 483 from Garneyland to Linsburn, and the 484 from Erskine to Bishopton. Then the routes we put in to look at the school bus DLC, we have the Glasgow route 600, the East Kilbride route 600 from Bogton to Cardiglen School, the 604 from Kitterglen, and the 608 from Jackton. Then school buses outside Glasgow that we did, we have the 911, rather unfortunately numbered, from Meadow Park to Ayrshire College, the 972 from Lawthorne to Ayrshire College, and the deactivated 981 from Saltcoats to Ayrshire College. Now that looks like the end, but we have a rather special network to cover before we finish off, and that is the Quicksilver network. We've covered the X routes, now we're covering the 700s routes, which are the reason I put the Quicksilver thing in the first place. The X routes were just nice to have. Starting with the 701 from Gourock to Glasgow, limited stop via Greenock, Inchinnan and Renfrew, and then into Glasgow. The 702, which runs from Glasgow straight through on the motorway, I believe. Yes, straight through on the motorway all the way to its first stop at Port Glasgow, then through Greenock, around through Inverkip, Weems Bay, terminating at Largs. Then the 727 from Kilwinning through Saltcoats and Ardrossan, through Seamill, Fairley and Largs, Weems Bay, Inverkip, then around the coast through Gourock, Greenock and Port Glasgow, where it joins the motorway and runs straight through to Glasgow Airport. And finally, the last route that we're going to cover before we head off onto a break of who knows how long, the 771, one of my favourite routes on the map, from Ardrossan to Hamilton via Saltcoats, Stevenston, Kilwinning, Irvine, Dreghorn, Crosshouse, Kilmarnock, Gulston, Darville, Strathaven and Larkhall. It's an absolute monster and I adore it. So, how many buses do we have? Well, first of all, we have 24 garages, and I'm going to do this calculation right now because I am famous for my prep work, aren't I? So, we start out with the first garage, which is Pomedy, with 238 buses. Then East Kilbride's main garage, which has 98. Then we head over to the Orange Arrows garage, which is Barnhill Shed 2, technically. Then over to Paisley, which has hang on, I need to do that again. I messed up the calculation. 238 plus 98 plus 100 plus the 100 buses at Paisley plus the 97 buses at Paisley Shed 2. Then over at Clydebank we have 99 buses in Shed 1. Then we have 98 buses at Hamilton. 99 buses at Palmedy Shed 2. 90 buses at Clydebank Shed 2. 84 buses at East Kilbride Shed 2. 96 buses at Port Glasgow. 94 buses at Barnhill. 98 buses at Cumbernauld. 80 buses at Wishaw. 40 buses at Kirkintilloch. 40 buses at Kilmarnock. 44 buses at Nitshill. 16 buses at Largs. 56 buses at Irvine. 15 buses at Inchinnan. 4 buses at Millport on the Isle of Cambrai. 12 buses at Hamilton Shed 2. 24 buses at Airdrie. And 22 buses at Cumbernauld Shed 2. So that is 23 garages and a total fleet of 1,744 buses. This save has been absolutely mammoth, and I don't want to stop it, which is why I'm not saying this series is coming to a close. This series is going on hold. But I think, on that note, I'm going to bring us back to Palmedy, and we're going to look... Actually, no, not to Palmedy. I'm going to go to Barnhill 2. Because... not Marketplace. Bus Fleet. Minibuses. There we are. This one. This is where it all started. S181 RGA. The very first bus we bought in episode 1. We still have it. So I think that's a good place to end it. I don't know when this series will come back, but I guarantee you it will. If you still want to do Bus Manager stuff, I do have my series running on the South Coast if you like more modern buses. I don't know if there'll be a replacement for this series. If it's not going to be back within the next 2 weeks, then there'll be sort of 2 missed uploads, if you will, and then there'll be a replacement, and that might last only 1 episode. It might last however long it lasts. We'll see. But West Scotland will be coming back. But in the meantime, I will see you on Monday from City Bus Manager on the South Coast. Bye bye.